Coming up on 2.5 Geeks, a very svelte and sexy Samsung Galaxy S2, the not so svelte or sexy Toshiba Thrive, which is kind of like the fat girl at the prom, just way big. The Llano processor
neat.
and a whole lot more coming right up.
The bar has been set wicked fast.
It rocked in the benchmarks. We're going to up the ante a little bit.
Processing power,
Maybe.
I kind of understand this. Welcome back to 2.5 Geeks. Guys, I haven't seen you in like what seems to be weeks. I'm not trying to rhyme, but I am this time. Hey, Marco. Hi, how are you doing?
I missed you.
I'm doing pretty good. A little bit tired. Had a bachelor party last night and a family gathering today, but I will recover by tomorrow morning, I hope.
How about you, head honcho Dave Altavilla? The
Head
captain
honcho. I don't know about that, but
the head honcho of Hot Hardware.
that's
Clearly.
like a lot of H's going on.
It's a lot
Yeah,
of
I'm
H's
doing
is
good,
what that
thanks.
Good.
Doing good, and you, my friend.
I am doing pretty good. Can't complain. If you can see, one, I have shades for my cover for the windows, so I'm not blown out this time. Also, my office is very dark because it's painted dark gray. That's right. It's dark like my heart. And I'm rhyming again. So sorry about that. Let's forget about this whimsical nonsense and talk about something that's not whimsical at all. The Toshiba Thrive Android tablet. Now, if you've been to Hot Hardware, you've seen the video review, you've read the review, but first of all, I gotta talk to Dave about the massive size of this thing. It's almost like a tablet PC from 2003 in its size and capabilities. Tell me about it, would you?
A tablet PC from 2003 is attached to a keyboard and a regular notebook, and it pivots and swivels and flips back.
That's the convertible. I mean, the Slate PCs were pretty big, and they had removable batteries back then.
Yeah. I hear you. So this is the Thrive, and I'll hold it up to the screen and hopefully not play havoc. But Android 3.1 standard issue, NVIDIA Tegra 2 processor under the hood. The standard honeycomb build platform that we've seen from many others, and it is thick. It's easily the thickest tablet on the market, and or at least from what we've seen recently, certainly much thicker than things like the Galaxy Tab 10.1 and the Motorola Zoom, and you name it. Certainly thicker than even Asus's Transformer. But what makes this unique and what I really like about it is that it comes with a myriad of port options that we just have not seen native, built onto the tablet. You don't have to tether this thing to a custom cable and hang a dongle off of it. You don't have to plug it into a keyboard dock. All the ports are just there, built in, that you might need. USB to full-size USB port, HDMI, full-size HDMI, and mini HDMI on board. And so, it's got, some features that some of the other tablets just don't have.
Now, what I noticed about the USB port is it actually supports a mouse. Why would you need mouse support on a touchscreen device at all?
That's a good question. And I would say that, there's some novel things you could do with it. Perhaps. I think maybe what's perhaps more interesting than a mouse might be a USB game controller, and it does support some game controllers as well. I think what's more interesting for me is a full-size USB port allows you to just take a thumb drive, pop it right in there, and get files right onto the drive, whether you're side-loading something or whether you're just pulling up images or video or what have you, documents. The other thing it has is a full-size flash card reader slot right at the top edge here. And, that's huge. I mean, it's a simple thing that you would think they would have found room for in some of these thinner tablets that have already hit the market, but they just haven't yet. And so now, the de facto, flash card media that everybody plugs into most, digital cameras these days, whether they be SLRs or point and shoots, as well as video cameras, prosumer HD video cameras. It's all on SD cards. And so now you just pop it right in the slot. You get access to your files. Toshiba built a really nice file manager utility that allows you to navigate between different storage sources, whether it be the onboard storage, the flash card, or even a USB stick, the USB port. So, a lot of utility sort of built into this tablet. And, hey, that's what you get. You got to sacrifice a little bit for bulk to get these ports and features. Right behind this little concealed door are all the ports right there. but you know, you need real estate for that. So I like it. I like it a lot.
So how's the actual performance of this thing? I mean, we talked about its size, its actual features, but it's running Tegra 2, like you said. Is there anything Toshiba did to their variant, not variant, but to Android to make it snappier, or did it feel like a stock experience?
No, it really did feel like a stock Android experience. You know, Toshiba's going to be pretty good about rolling out, you know, future iterations of the Android OS as it evolves. 3.2 is out now, by the way, on the Transformer by ASUS. They've rolled it out, 3.2 Android Honeycomb, but this is a 3.1 installation right now, pretty stock. There's, you know, some little custom, like I said, custom utilities built in, like that file manager that Toshiba added to, you know, bring out some of the features of the tablet. But for all intents and purposes, it's really a stock Android 3.1 experience. The other thing that was slightly on the disappointing side was battery life. This thing lasted in an hour test, which is a bit of a sweat test, if you will, refreshing web pages every 3 minutes. It lasted 340 minutes, and so just a little bit longer than Motorola's Zoom, but not up there with the Galaxy Tab 10.1 or the Transformer. But you know, that's, I guess, again, one of the things that this tablet has going for it in the area of battery life. You can actually pull off the back of this. I won't do this on camera because we'll be here a little bit, but you can pull off this back, this rubberized back, and actually get at the battery. It's a user serviceable battery that you can pop out and replace. So maybe you can carry a spare around.
Well, that tablet itself can't be carried around too easily. You can't put it in your pocket, not like the Samsung Galaxy S2. That thing is, I know it's a drool-worthy phone. Marco, you get to talk about it. I don't think you got to review it, though. What can you tell us about the Galaxy S2? And I think it's going to be marketed under like a bevy of different names, by the way. But how is this actual device?
It wasn't... Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't me that tested. Our man Ray did the testing, and actually, I believe he bought the phone for himself. Am I correct in that, Dave? Is it something he's using right now?
Yeah, that's his phone, yep.
So you're looking at Samsung's super sexy, super powerful handset, dual core 1.2 gigahertz processor in there. Beautiful. Is it Super AMOLED Plus, Dave, on that guy? Again, I am referring to the head honcho.
It is Super AMOLED Plus, yep.
Right. Gorgeous screen, gingerbread already installed on there. The particular model that we looked at is an unlocked world phone. So super expensive, but you can pop in virtually any SIM and get access on any network, almost any network around the world. And if you can name a smartphone feature, this baby basically has it. You know, front and back cameras, 4G support, super fast processor, just you name it, it's got it. Just an awesome phone.
All right, I'll ask the question everyone's thinking. Is it a Windows Phone 7 killer? No. Is it an iPhone killer?
You know, it's funny. I think just Android, the way it's progressed, is already killing the iPhone. If you look at the most recent smartphone market share numbers, Android is way ahead of iPhone in terms of market share. And having used some of these newer phones that have gingerbread, the experience is much better than Froyo, in my opinion. Even just subtle nuances with animations and lock screens, little stuff, but the experience is so good. And the Android marketplace maybe doesn't have as many apps as the Apple marketplace, but you know, how many fart apps do you need? They're not all great apps, so the total number doesn't really matter as much, in my opinion, as much as the quality of good apps. And Android's there, maybe not quite there, but there's tons of apps. The phones are just, there's so many more models to choose from. So Apple has to do something big with the iPhone 5 next month, I think, because Android is just gobbling up market share, and there's gorgeous phones like this Galaxy S2.
I like you're saying that, like, Android's gotten a lot more mature, but the Samsung, Samsung likes to put on their TouchWiz UI. Did you guys find that to be a hindrance, or was it a pleasant experience? Because I know a lot of people that hate that thing, because it even slides to unlocks like a puzzle piece to another puzzle piece, which is somewhat confusing. How did that
TouchWiz go? TouchWiz 4 is definitely Samsung's best overlay. Even the newer, the TouchWiz UX, which is on the Galaxy Tab, they really slimmed it down. It's more about now minimizing the number of clicks to do some of the more common features on the phones, and I think it's good. I really like it. I wasn't quite as fond of this TouchWiz on the original OS build of the Infuse, But TouchWiz 4 and UX, I like it. I think it's really nice. I think it does enhance the experience.
On to crazy hard drive discussions. We'll go to Dave for this one. Now, there's a terabyte notebook hard drive, the WD Scorpio 1 terabyte drive. It's the second, third, I don't know what number at this point, 9.5 millimeter laptop drive. Is there anything interesting about this beyond what I just said?
Not really. No. No, I would say it's certainly interesting in my opinion. And Western Digital technically was second to market with a 9.5 millimeter drive. And the 9.5 millimeter is the key because prior to that, the 1 terabyte notebook drives that were out there were thicker than that, 11 millimeters, I think, or something to that ilk. And the problem with that is they don't fit in a stock notebook drive cage. So, you've got to do some modifications, or you've got to have a custom drive cage to fit into a notebook. The nice thing about this now is that, Samsung came out with it, and now Western Digital, Samsung was out in June, Western Digital this month, in July actually, and they now fit 9.5 millimeter, standard 9.5 millimeter notebook drive cage form factors, so you can pop it right in, stock to any notebook on the market. And yeah, you're now at 1 terabyte, which is amazing to think that they can get that into a 2.5-inch form factor. I mean, I used to call on EMC as a customer in my semiconductor sales engineer days, and they have in the lobby these 10 gig hard drives that are the size of Anchor. They're huge. Now they're getting a terabyte into something that's about the size of a credit card in dimension, and maybe it's 9.5 millimeters thick. It's just impressive as heck. And they did that by increasing the aerial density per platter. So now it's 500 gigs per platter in a 2.5-inch platter. And so yeah, no joke, it's 1 terabyte drive. The nice thing is that increase in aerial density, excuse me, easy for me to say, is it also increases your performance because you don't have to spin the spindle as hard or as fast to get to bits on the drive because you've got more bits packed in a square millimeter. And so now a 5400 RPM drive, the Scorpio Blue drive from Western Digital, performs a lot like a 7200 RPM 2.5-inch drive from previous generation.
Yeah, that sounds like nothing compared to the OCZ news. OCZ with its Z Drive R4 PCI Express solid state system. Now, I was looking at the article, Marco wrote it, and I'm like, okay, this must be a typo. It has speeds of 2.8 gigabits per second, transfer speeds. Not gigabit, gigabyte.
Gigabytes, baby.
Per second, which is mind-boggling. Who wants to handle this one, actually? Because I think, Marco, you wrote this. The OCZ Z Drive R4. I'm just drooling, sorry.
Dave, you want to tackle it, or you want me to tackle it?
I whatever. I can tackle about it since I'm in the storage mode here. I mean,
you know what? Go ahead, Dave. Talk about it because I'm doing some math here, and I want to just interject a tidbit right at the end. But go ahead.
Sounds good. Go ahead, Dave.
He's breaking out his slide rule. Be careful. So yeah, it's an amazing thing. I mean, it seems like there's just no limit to what the manufacturers can do with PCI Express technologies now that all of this SSD controller technology is coming to the market, and the PCI Express interface just waiting to be saturated. So over a by4 PCI Express Gen 2 connection, these things can churn out in a single stack card, so a single PCB now. The Z Drive R4 can churn out 2.8 gigs a second of throughput. And if you do a double stack, what they call their X2 build of the card, so now you've got two controllers on the motherboard card, or essentially it's a motherboard, and then the daughter card, mezzanine style, sandwiched on top of it with another 2 controllers, SandForce controllers, so 4 of them total. This thing can hit 5.6 gigs a second. It's just amazing. And so we're waiting to see this thing come in. Folks at OCC have told me that we're up for getting one real soon. And when that thing comes in, it's going to light up the test bench. I'm sure of it, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
You're never going to hand that thing back. There's no way. How could you possibly go from that speed to anything else? Everything is going to look horrible next to this thing.
You know, the funny thing is, you know, people joke at us all the time. Oh, you guys get to keep all the fun toys. Well, and it's true, we do. But the reason we do is that we keep them around for future testing, because how else do you compare something to something like this? You know, it's just like, you know, you got to have that watermark, that bar that's been raised around to measure other stuff to it in the future. And so, yeah, it'll be here in the test lab, you know, just screaming for competition to step up to it.
Just sounds ridiculous.
A lot of fun. So, what's your calculation say, Marco?
So I was just doing the math. If that 1 terabyte Western Digital drive could accept data as fast as that R4 could send it, you could fill it in 178 seconds.
Under 3 minutes.
There you go, a terabyte transfer.
A terabyte. Wow.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's a lot of porn. No, I didn't say that.
I think you just did. Let's talk about processing, not porn. Processor porn. Let's talk about the AMD A6 3650 Llano. Now, you guys did a lot of work explaining to me all of this stuff where Sandy Bridge and Llano are the same kind of thing. There's a GPU and a CPU. They're on the same chip, same die. It makes everything better. Now, what the heck is the 3650?
So the A6 3650 is, you know, a few weeks back we talked about the A8 3850. That was the top of the line Llano that AMD launched. Now, the top of the line chip ran at 2.9 gigahertz and had 400 Radeon cores running at 600 megahertz. The A6 3650 is the same. It's based on the same piece of silicon, but it's slightly scaled back and more affordable. So the A6 3650 runs at 2.6 gigahertz, you know, roughly 10% slower, and it only has 320 Radeon cores running at 443 megahertz. So what you end up with is a decent performing quad-core CPU with a decent performing DX11 GPU core, slightly lower power than the A8, and more affordable. Now, so that's the gist of that.
There's the A8 and the A6. Do the numbers actually correspond to anything, or are they just class numbers so that you know 8's better than 6?
It's just class numbers right now. The current full Llano lineup right now, you can only buy the A8 3850 and A6 3650. There's also going to be an A8 3800 and an A6 3600. That, you know, lopping off that 50 on the end. The non-50 versions are 65-watt APUs. The 3850 and 3650 are 100-watt APUs. The lower-end ones will also support turbo, so they're going to clock lower when they're not under load, and their clock speed is going to shoot up under load. But they're all based on the same piece of silicon, though.
Now, I've been curious about how you actually benchmark this. I mean, a long time ago, it was just a CPU. You could test a CPU with benchmarks. And if you have a graphics card, you test that separately. Now that they're on the same chip, do you test anything differently? Do you have new benchmarks for this new generation of processors? How does that work nowadays?
Yeah, so it's kind of a mix of old and new. We do run a set of CPU-centric tests, and then run a set of GPU-centric tests. And we've also worked in more full system benchmarks like the latest PC Mark 7, in addition to doing some like media encoding that would leverage the integrated GPU. So it's a mix of old and new, trying to cover everything. And another twist with Llano is because you can crossfire it with low-end discrete cards, for the launch piece, we also added that testing as well to show how much the GPU performance scaled when it had a companion GPU with it. So yeah, it's kind of changing the game a little bit with how we test.
So this is a good time to be a benchmark maker, then, if processors keep changing like this. There's a new market right there that you can actually do this every now and then.
Unless you're Bapco and you make Sysmark that doesn't test any of this stuff, but we had that discussion already.
Yes, we have. So I hear, you know, we haven't been on a while, and I know that HotHardware's undergone some improvements on the site itself. Dave, like I think it's like new widgets, and there's like +1s and all kinds of stuff. What's new on the site?
Yeah, you know, we're always working on the engine, and it's something that, you know, certainly as technology evolves and new features become available in the market, whether it be Google Plus and the +1 button that we've added for sharing things on the social network scene, to really just architecting sort of best experience and best practice on the site for readers. We're always looking at that. It's critical to us. You know, we feel it's our product. I mean, that's what we do, is to build a good site for folks to come to. And we really think about that long and hard, so we encourage readers to come in. One of the things we've added are some new widget functionalities on the right margin. You've got the featured link list now, which is the list of our featured articles you see up in the ribbon bar, but quick access to those in text links. You've also got the favorites tab over in the hot stuff widget as well. And that's really what the folks are voting on. And by the way, you can vote on any article, any review, product review from a product standpoint that we have on the site. And you don't have to be logged in to do it. So, vote away. And, pretty soon we have a nice tabulated list of favorite products according to the readership, which is a nice reference. And then the other thing we have, if you go to the reviews page and look in the articles, is over on the right-hand side, we have the other hot stuff in that product category widget. So in other words, you're looking at a tablet, or maybe you're looking at a gaming system. Over on that widget, you will see a list of 7 of the most recent articles in that category to let you, peruse some more stuff that might be interesting and relevant to what you're looking for.
So if you're over at HotHardware.com, you can always check out all the stories we talked about. It's all in there. Or for some reason you're like, you know what? Forget widgets. I want to look at Hot Hardware somewhere else. Don't worry. We got you covered. You can check out dig.com/HotHardware, maybe even twitter.com/HotHardware, maybe even, did I say facebook.com/HotHardware?
Nope,
I just did. YouTube.com/HotHardware vids. And one day, I bet you this, Google Plus, Hot Hardware's coming. It's coming for you. Just wait
entirely possible
until Google allows that on Plus, because you guys play by the rules.
We already have the +1 button in place.
That's right. So that pretty much wraps up this episode of 2.5 Geeks. Good to see everybody again. Good to be back.
Good seeing you, brother.
Surrounded by dark blue instead of teal blue. So
yeah, baby. Good to have you.
We'll see everybody next week. Thank you for stopping by.